Hi, my name is Vignesh. I'm a system engineer at Innovator. I do cloud architecture, DevOps, and all those kind of stuff. So we shall start. So today we are going to talk about serverless WordPress, how to host WordPress or any application using a serverless platform. So our agenda will be, we'll be discussing the problems with servers. We'll be talking about other options that we have, like web hosting, and then we'll talk about the advantages of serverless, and then the use cases and setting up serverless WordPress. So these are some of the actual technologies that we will be using. And so what are the challenges of server environment? So most of us have this kind of a traditional setup where we have a server environment. It has a lot of maintenance problems like server package updation, OS upgradation. It cannot handle unpredictable workloads. Your user management is difficult. You have to give specific users, you have to give them specific permissions. And then you have storage management issues where you have a lot of EBS, or if it's a VPS system, you have to have hard disks and those kind of storage management issues. And then there is a scaling problem. You cannot scale a server environment really fast. And then there's optimization of server size. If especially if you have a varying user base, you have to have a server size for the highest amount of users. And if the user goes slow, you'll be wasting money. And then finally, there's an upfront and fixed recurring cost, especially if you use a VPS service. So what are we using for hosting WordPress sites? So mainly what we are using is server-based web hosting, especially by GoDaddy or some other WordPress.com. Those sites, they offer shared servers which are less flexible. They are not scalable. They have less amount of customization. It's really difficult to handle unpredictable workloads with them, and they have a fixed cost subscription, especially if you're using this kind of a shared server-based web hosting service. And so what are the actual advantages of using serverless? Compared to the traditional setup, serverless actually gives you a lot of advantages, like it can handle unpredictable workload. So if you are actually using a specific application, if you have a specific application which needs to have to handle a unpredictable kind of a workload with different kind of users at different time intervals, that's something that serverless can easily handle. Then another major advantage is images can be pre-optimized. So what do you mean by that? So the thing is, if you have a Docker image, usually when we talk about serverless, we often consider Kubernetes, or in AWS, if you're using EV, consider ECS Fargate kind of a deployment. So in those cases, if you have a container image, then you can easily customize it from your local machine and then put it anywhere you want, and that container will always remain optimized with their specific packages, their versions, pre-built libraries, etc. And then there is the high scalability. The serverless environment is virtually infinitely scalable. You can actually use the entire AWS data center for your application if you want. It's that good. And then there's automated storage management. If you are using AWS, you can always use EFS. It's the Elastic File System, which can actually be connected to the container, and it gives an automated storage management service. And then in our case of WordPress, your images, WordPress image, the first image is automatically updated by the WordPress maintenance. So that part is actually maintained by them. You don't have to worry about it. And if you're using AWS, you get automated backend management where you don't have to have a specific set of people working to keep maintaining the backend. And finally, you have nothing else to maintain other than your code, especially if you use a specific plugin that is customized to your needs. If you have a specific custom theme or asset, You only have to maintain just that, and you can have containers deployed anywhere, however you like, which is really good. So what are the actual use cases where you should actually move on to use serverless? So one of the main use case is especially if you have an application with unpredictable workloads. Like if you are hosting something like Amazon or eBay flash sale, the number of users coming in to your application will depend on the popularity of the product that you're selling. So you can't just predict how many users might come. So that kind of an issue is fixed by serverless because it can scale instantaneously when needed. And then there's application update without downtime. If you see Google services, they actually update without any downtime because they use Kubernetes cluster. And finally, you have application with ramping up and ramping down user activity, like a food delivery app, which has different number of users at different times in a day. So that kind of an application can also be easily maintained using a serverless architecture. So how do we set up this kind of a serverless architecture for WordPress using WordPress? So I have a blog. I will go through that blog. And let me just change the screen. 1 minute. Okay, is my screen visible? I hope it is.
Yes, Vignesh, yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is my blog on setting up a serverless WordPress in AWS. So basically, this is the problem that we have even in our on-premise system. This is the kind of maintenance that we have to do when we use a server environment. So actually moving to the cloud fix most of this, but we still have problems. So first of all, if you don't have an AWS account, create one. It's really easy. Then as a traditional environment, you have to set up your VPC. VPC is like a virtual private cloud. That's like your isolated environment that you have, and you have to create specific subnet for your load balancer. You have an ECS, you have an ESS, and finally an RDS. RDS is a relational database service which provides the database. And then you set up everything like internet gateways. You create two root tables. This is important because you have to have a public and private root table. You should not actually, as a best practice, it's always best to not use the default root table that we have in the VPC when we create it. And then we do the basic things like setting up which root table is public that goes to internet gateway and the other to the NAT gateway. And then now we move on to the next. This is a mundane task, but this is really important since the security groups, this is like the firewall of your application. So make sure you always keep specific care not to open unwanted ports or any other things that you don't want exposed to the public. And if at all possible, always restrict your access. This is not applicable for server environment since, serverless environment, since the Docker containers always have a specific range of ports, but still, this is important. And then you have to set up your security group for ALB, then for your ECS, EFS, and RDS. And once those security groups have been set up, now we shall start with the the interesting parts like setting up the resources. So one of the main resources that we set up is EFS. It allows us to have a scalable storage for the WordPress. For all the containers that we are running, we'll have a single storage so that they can have shared storage. So you can run multiple instances of the same container without any problems between file syncing. So if we have a specific theme or a plugin that we need to have on the WordPress, it's automatically saved in this EFS. And so we create EFS and we create an access point for the EFS. So because we need access points to actually be able to mount into the ECS. And then once EFS keeps creating, it takes some time, we can move on to the RDS part. Here we are actually using Aurora Serverless. So Aurora Serverless is MySQL compatible. It is a cluster-based, it's a container-based backend that's managed by AWS, but we can easily just make it work as a compute unit instead of a usual RDS with read and write replicas. This is like a serverless environment entirely just for your MySQL needs. So we can set this up with Aurora Serverless, and Aurora Serverless, as I said, it's MySQL compatible. You can get 5.6 and 5.7. I believe 8 is still not available, but they are working on it. And then once the RDS is complete, you can start setting up the load balancer. Here we are using an application load balancer, and that gives us a lot of flexibility for our application. And then once that NDI-ALB section is complete, we start with the ECS. So in ECS, we actually first create a cluster, and then after the cluster, we create we are actually using Fargate. There is two types of deployments for ECS. One is Fargate, and another is EC2. So if you use EC2, that becomes a server environment. So that defeats the purpose of this setup. So what we use is Fargate because the backend host is actually managed by AWS. So we don't have to worry about any security issues or vulnerabilities. That is entirely managed by AWS. And then we give task roles and everything, and then we specify the container that we want, we specify the EFS mounting that we want, and all those things are given. And if you go through the Docker Hub website, they'll actually give these kind of a specific environment variables that you can use to directly configure the WordPress container. So that you can give here, and the environment variables will actually directly configure your WordPress container. And then finally, then one thing you have to actually note, this is really important, is that when you create the select the platform version, make sure you choose 1.4.0 because there are a lot of options, and there is 1.1, 2.0, 3.0, and finally 1.4.0. And on top of that, there is an option called latest. But if you choose latest, they are actually selecting 1.3.0. So EFS is not supported in the 1.3.0 platform version. So you have to specify that it's 1.4.0. I don't know why it's like this, but it is like this in AWS. So always select 1.4.0, and then once we set everything up, you can give auto scaling and everything, and that's it. After that, when the cluster starts running, it will download the WordPress container from Docker Hub. It will start it. It will give that environment variable, and your website will come up like this, which is the setup page for your WordPress. Here you can give your language preference, and then move on to setting up the first admin username and password with your email. And then finally, that's it. You can just log in, and this is your dashboard. And finally, you can see the setup here, and this is your WordPress. So that is how you set up this WordPress environment using serverless system. And always, if you have any doubts, you can always ask me. And then finally, so thank you so much for listening. You have been great. It's been an honor to actually take this webinar. And so if you have any doubts, you can always send me an email at vignesh.n@innovationlabs.com. There's my LinkedIn URL, there's my Twitter, and you can always visit our website at innovator.ai. And for the blog that I mentioned just now, you can always go to my website, which is https://vignesh.in. And always consultation is free. So if you have any doubts, if you need help with something that you are working on, if you have a new project that you want some kind of help with, you can always contact us. Consultation is free, and we'll always be ready to help you. Thank you so much.